Hello and welcome to the Infinite Escape Room. I'm Ben and I like smelling men's bottoms. I will literally just... There's no read ahead.
Anything on the teleprompter, he'll read it. Yeah, there it is.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Anyway, we're at the pub, the Post Plutius. What's everyone drinking?
Hi, I'm Mike. I also like smelling men's bottoms, and I'm drinking a Badger's Golden Glory.
And I'm Jonathan David Charles II, and I, in honour of Ben's final episode as a producer, I have resurrected the Cape Verdean grog.
Oh,
good lord.
It's going to be from the bottle, folks.
John's going to go blind.
So, all right. Ben, for you.
And I'm Jamie Gibbs, and I'm drinking a Nectar, which is a honey pilsner from the Hive Mind Brewery. And it's very sweet. It's going to make my diabetes and gout flare up a little bit, but it's lovely. How's the grog, John?
John just John just took some from the bottle.
Oh, my.
Did you actually get any, or is it just the fumes at this point?
I didn't know Mr. Muscle made Rob.
It's quite something.
I should have put that in my first episode. Paint thinner and John's grog.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And Ben, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Council Pop because I have responsibilities after this.
Oh, that's fair. You are by far the most responsible of the four of us.
Ben, so do I.
I think I do as well, actually.
Yeah, I got to put tea on.
So we find ourselves here at the Post Plutius, having spent the last 3 weeks at... Oh, where was it?
Good luck.
In the halls of Grumbledown, Whistle Smythe's Preparatory School for the Monetarily Advantaged, where we were TAs for a short period of time, hunted down on TA day, on teacher training day, by the headmaster, the chemistry professor, and the Latin professor. In that order, actually. Yes. I can't remember how we normally run one of these, so let's just go with how do we know? how was the first episode? How was the first week?
So that was my room in the headmaster's office. I think you guys understood what the assignment was pretty damn quick.
And yet, having understood what it was pretty damn quick, we then proceeded down all manner of false starts, including assaulting his painting with paint thinner, drawing someone else on it. And then, I think within about 15 minutes, we had the peppermint tea, which was the answer. And then we did nothing with it.
Yep. Well, I think in retrospect, I think the where we were, I think, was that we had the peppermint tea, but we didn't know for sure that that's what it was. You know, we'd already sort of fairly late on in the game, I feel, found this secret compartment. We didn't know necessarily whether there would be other ones.
Yeah.
For all we know, that could have been his secret stash of peppermint tea that he indulges in when not being, the demon headmaster.
I feel like we had enough, though, like the setup that he has all this like paint stripper and brandy and really strong spirits, but there's an allergen, something that someone like that would be completely allergic to, and then we find the peppermint tea.
For context listeners, the way that they got out of the headmaster's office or neutralized the headmaster was by discovering that he had a very deadly allergic reaction to peppermint and had stashed some in a false bottom of a locked drawer in his desk. And by spiking his brandy with peppermint and summoning him for sexy times, they were able to put him into anaphylactic shock and murder him. But yeah, you understood what you were going to do really quickly, but then second-guessed yourself into a corner.
Can I just come in and say, once again, how there was a pretty sizable piece of the puzzle, I feel, that Michael basically just blinked and was like, this is the answer.
I was so impressed. That was freaking MVP, mate. You breezed through that.
Yeah, let's talk about the shields.
They were really good. It was a really well-constructed puzzle.
Was good.
It was a really beautifully... So sorry, just for listeners who need their memories refreshing, it was given a set of shields, each of which had kind of different characteristics, which it transpired related in some way to the letters in their name. And yeah, it was really elegantly done. And then that obviously gave us the key or the code to the...
You mentioned, John, in the episode that... on two of the shields, I duplicated the image of a dragon and wondered if that was intentional or not. it was because both of those words that had the dragon both ended in the letters TO. So the repetition of those was meant to sort of go, oh, the fact that they've both got it
reinforce
means,
it. Yeah, that was the clue. The only thing that I think could have made that more perfect or made it fit into a real life room better was something to do with the order, because the order was just left to right, which is fine, and as long as nobody's Japanese, like everyone's going to immediately scan left.
Not
and
in
right
this school.
anyway. Not in this school. But I wonder if there was a sort of a further step to it that would have indicated what comes first. And I wonder if it's something to do with like what's on top. So like, is the dragon on top of the chevron, or is the chevron on top
that's
of
nice.
the dragon, which would give you the order to go in rather than just at the ends of the letters, and that could like sequence it.
But is that the one more complexity thing that then muddles it? That's always my concern with these things, because I'm awful for going, this is too easy, I'll add one more layer on top, and suddenly the layers merge.
Yeah, but you did
no, that's fair.
And you got that in an instant, Mike. And I think you'd also twigged about about looking into the stapler. Once Ben had teed you up with it.
Well, it's because Ben said stapler.
But I did not. I think because NDA is such a well-known acronym, I didn't think about saying, oh, maybe the vowels have been stripped out of that.
Yeah.
Whereas stapler kind of looked to me like, oh, the vowels have been stripped out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and there was a moment where you were trying to find out the name of the headmaster to try and pull his file up to see if he was anything. I didn't write anything. I deliberately didn't give a name to the headmaster because I couldn't think of one. But had you, there was a moment I think where Ben, you tried to look up the name of the student, and off the cuff I said, "Oh, his portrait matches the picture of the boy, the deputy head boy." If you'd have then said, can we look through the staff files and find a picture that matches the portrait? I would have then gone, oh, fuck, yes, and his name is, and he has an allergic reaction to peppermint or something like that.
Nice.
But that would have been off the cuff. Fuck, I don't know.
So I did.
He used to be head boy.
There was 12 files in the staff drawer, and I did. That's a small enough number that I was going to ask you to list them all.
I'm so
because at least two of them you definitely didn't know.
That's very true. I'm glad you didn't, because I would have panicked. But yeah, I thought that so the peppermint tea bags were in a false bottom, so they were concealed within a drawer that had an EpiPen within a drawer that was locked. So I thought the layers to get into that would have twigged to you that it was
when you say
bad stuff for the headmaster.
Yeah.
When you describe it like that.
Michael, let's not get into accurate description, shall we? We'll
get to that in about 15 minutes.
So Jamie, I'd one more question about this. The EpiPen. So was that to give us a moral choice at the end that we could save his life?
It was both. One of it was to clue you into the fact that whatever this allergic reaction is, it could kill him. That you know that this is the way to neutralize him, because just a normal.
So that was actually our clue that the peppermint was.
It was one of the ways. Yeah, one of the clues that.
God, it's so weird. I did not have it in my head that the EpiPen was in the path to the peppermint. Somehow that didn't.
I think that was mixed part of my problems. So sort of going back to where we were. I think we found it, and then sort of in my mind, almost sort of put it on top of the desk. Like, that's that there sort of thing, as opposed to going through and sort of having to move the EpiPen out the way to get to the false draw. Which is completely my own doing, not anything to Jamie.
That's also though beautifully accurate to one of the most common screw-ups of teams in escape rooms, where things are actually placed not just in a certain location, but like facing a certain way. And the first thing someone does is walk in, pick it up, and put it down differently, not realizing that its placement is part of the clue.
Yeah. And one final tidbit is that the button mashes that you pressed on the intercom, the reason why it summoned the headmaster is because it was Morse code for the word sex. So he knew. He knew to come round. The whole putting Ben there as bait didn't need to happen, but I'm glad that you did. But well done, chaps. You did swimmingly.
Now, at that moment, I said, and I quote, "This reminds me of Mike's wedding."
Oh, yes. The Thatcher experience.
Thatcher,
this is the Margaret Thatcher
on a coal miner. So This is a reference.
You're going to get two versions of it.
So this is a reference to Mike's best man speech. That grog is strong. That myself and Danny, also of this parish, gave. And Danny had this idea, which I begrudgingly agreed to.
Two versions of the story.
Okay, it was entirely my idea. That we thought it would be fun. Bear in mind that Mike's wife is from the Merthyr Tydfil area, and Merthyr Tydfil is a rural Welsh town famous for being gutted by Thatcher's closure of the coal mines. Is that accurate, guys?
Yeah, as someone who is also from Merthyr Tydfil, we did spark the Industrial Revolution with coal and steel, and we were the epicenter of the empire at once upon a time. But Thatcher fucked us over, yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And the wedding was in.
The wedding was in Merthyr.
With lots of people from Merthyr.
Most of Merthyr was there. There were many robberies that day. Anyway, so during this speech, we thought it would be fun, and Danny did agree to this, to paint Mike as quite the Tory, because that would go down well.
Fuck me.
And I said in the speech, Mike, of course, is such a Tory that as a teenage boy, he had a poster on his wall of Margaret Thatcher murdering a miner with a claw.
Oh, God.
And the room went,
yeah, and
dropped several Kelvin.
Yeah, I can imagine how you... I'm surprised that you're still alive, John, after that.
Yes, this is after we'd produced top hats and rather plummerly...
It had been an excellent speech up to that point. Everybody was laughing, having a good time, and then this. Absolute.
Yeah, I imagine
silence.
several members of the wedding party would themselves have been present during the miners' strikes of the mid to late 80s and would have experienced that firsthand. So you sort of gave a lot of people Nam flashbacks with that speech.
I have a video. Jamie, I have a video.
Oh, yes, please.
You can witness it.
I look forward to it.
Really?
Yeah, I have a video.
I've never seen
I didn't take it. Somebody passed me a video of it.
Wow. What, was it my probation officer?
You see ice crystals forming in the corner of the frame.
Lovely, very good. Thank you, Jamie. That was really fun.
You're most welcome.
I played almost no part in it. I was passive. But the sort of central problem of the shields, it had hallmarks of a great puzzle because once it was solved, I could see the logic.
Which is good. Otherwise, yeah.
Absolutely clearly leaping out at me from the page and so obvious as soon as Mike had declared how he'd done it.
Yeah.
Which I think is the hallmark of a solid visual puzzle.
There's nothing more frustrating. Yeah, it really angers me if I can't do a puzzle and then someone tells me the solution and I still can't understand how you'd get from A to B. And I just, I feel stupid. And that's the worst thing to feel in an escape room is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And busy work.
And stupid, busy work, maths, and also if the escape room itself is wrong. We'll come to that later.
We'll come to that in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
Should we go on to Ben's room?
Yeah, let's.
So yes, I had the chemistry room with what was his name, Professor Colby Wallace Havarti Romando. Colby Havarti.
And what school does he work at, Ben? What's the name of the school?
The one we've been in.
Yes.
So Colby Havarti and Romando are all cheeses.
very good.
Wallace is, of course, a popular cultural figure that likes cheese.
Nice.
You cheese.
It's always
Jesus.
Ben. I'm going to.
Jesus
that's
Christ.
so good. Jesus Christ. Yes, very good.
So the team had to get into the room. Rifle through the desk to find a very long letter that ChatGPT wrote. It basically said, "Don't do a side business or you'll be fired." And
which in itself was side business. In itself the letter was a total waste of time that said, "Don't waste your time."
Exactly. Well, it's from management.
Sighs of recognition from around the world.
And then unlocking another cupboard, you found a plan of the room that alerted you to the fact that there was this great hatch in the floor that this guy was producing American cheese on the side, which isn't very prestigious and definitely wouldn't have been looked upon nicely.
Oh, I see. I lost sight of that a little bit.
The just briefly before we jump into to you guys, some other little references. This came to me in part a few weeks ago when I saw a video on how American cheese is made, and that's where I found that the trisodium calcium was a part of the making of it. That when you take the formula, it spells nature if you take all the numbers.
That's
really
legit.
nice.
That's
a legitimate
real
thing.
That's
wonderful.
On the page of the book that you opened, page 331, E331 is the E number of
Oh
that,
my god!
Of that
my
chemical they put
goodness.
into
Ben,
Jesus. You're wasted here, Ben.
Don't leave us, Ben. Oh God, I hope Ben never leaves the podcast.
And yet, all of this depth, all of this unseen depth, like a sort of beautiful coral reef that's just out of sight at all times, all of that depth, and yet at the end of the room, the exorcist type attacker strolls into the room through a flaming corridor and then catches his crucible on the hoses that we've left dangling from the ceiling and falls into the vat of cheese.
Which is a great reminder that health and safety is important.
Seems legit.
No, he didn't let go of the crucible or like take any other action. No, well, that's me.
Just the one thumb just slowly descending into the molten cheese.
Yes. Oh,
No,
yes.
my mum gave me this crucible. I can't lose it.
That was
She died in Nam.
that was a very good Puss in Boots, The Last Wish reference, Jamie.
I was doing Terminator 2.
Really?
That's where it comes from.
So it's Last Wish is doing Terminator.
No.
I didn't.
You've spent too
know
long
that.
in the dead zone. Although Puss in Boots, The Last Wish is a great film.
It is.
It is what my movie of last year. It was my top movie of last year.
It
So
really
good.
is.
I mean, I really enjoyed The Room. I really, really enjoyed The Room. I thought, even though John jumped straight through to the book bit, which
It
let's be
didn't break
honest,
anything
I feel
at all.
like it didn't break anything. And also, I was like, oh, it's alphabetical, so of course you just flip through the book to find that chemical. And I'd forgotten about that chemical, despite the fact that I was the one who read the back of the thing. I was just like, pocket. So I'd completely forgotten about it. So fair play, John, beavering away, figuring that one out.
Thank you.
I do.
It was the classic. Here's a bunch of information. There's a relevant piece in here, but by giving you enough information, you won't investigate the relevant piece.
And my hope with that was that it was the only kind of thing on the back, apart from like the nutrition information, which I kind of made illegible enough that you hopefully wouldn't sort of dwell too much on it. In the ingredients,
Ben,
like the
you put
only...
a barcode on there.
It's just a
With numbers.
Where does it go?
I don't. Let's find out.
I had wished that I put more effort into that, so it did like
More
code
effort,
and
then.
stuff.
You put the recycling symbols on there correctly.
It's got like nutritional information on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, you should.
I've seen worse actual like wrapping on food.
The
than real
ingredients,
life.
that was like the only chemically sounding thing. So since you're in a chemistry lab, I kind of hoped that sort of link through.
It's water, cheese,
Gotcha.
trisodium citrate.
Nice.
Because the thing is, as well, if you were to make it, sorry, Jamie,
no.
if you do make it at home, you can make it from like cheese that is actually kind of good and tastes of something, as opposed to like leftover cafeteria.
What I did really like with this room was the sudden switch in tone. From we're in a chemistry lab, we're looking at natural cheese. All of a sudden, fuck, the big daddy from BioShock has turned up.
Yeah.
That was
Fire in
so
the room.
good.
It's the point in the bomb diffusal thing where you snip the wire and all of a sudden the timer goes from 30 down to 1. It's that sort of oh shit, we got to get this sorted now. I felt a little bit
It
of
had a
panic
great sense of escalation.
of the image of that guy just stood there with his fucking hazmat suit on.
And yeah, for anyone else, was he wearing a sort of a wide-brimmed low hat and one of those medieval doctor's beaks as well?
I had the image of a welding mask in my head.
Oh yeah, there was
probably because I said welding mask.
That would be it.
Right.
That would be it.
Yeah, that's the same
When-
thing.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, John, though, because in some of my when I was writing it, stuff, although I said welding mask, I did kind of have that in my head as well. So
there was
kind of
something
weird.
about the image you painted that made me go full Exorcist music, but with that, ideally holding a burning book. It was.
Jamie, you are so wise.
I'm just going to open my
Nearly
second
out.
beer. It's
Second
a
beer.
pollinator, also from the Hive Mind Brewery. Not a sponsor, but if you're willing,
Very good.
Hive Mind Brewery is so good.
I've still got more grog, and I don't want.
John, you
Yeah,
don't
you
need
do.
to drink it.
I don't want to drink.
you don't need your eyesight.
But it's here. They said
So
that
we
this
on to
was
mine?
the good stuff
Is that the good stuff? For
because
foreigners.
there were 2 grogs, and I tried the other one, and it was worse,
Um,
Oh, God.
which made this seem nice in comparison.
one more thing on Benjamin before we go to Mike's room. I liked the way we got into the cabinet, and I did like the shift, the nacho cheese, like the Ponzi mat thing, like the Vietnam trap sort of style. For me, there was a slight disconnect between the initial letter that talked about the moonlighting aspect. I thought I was fixed on that, thinking that was the way that we neutralize him, by exposing his extracurricular activities rather than just we out and out kill him.
I think we can add that to the very long list of things that ChatGPT has slightly ruined.
I think that was partially the. I kind of knew where I wanted to go with the theme of the puzzle. I came up with this. To be honest, actually, I kind of created the room and then forgot that we needed to have like this hook of, this is the thing that neutralizes them. And so it was somewhat shoehorned in the fact that there was this thing, and I was like, oh, but could there be a telephone that you telephone the trustees and dob him in, but then what would that yield? In terms of you neutralizing him.
Yeah. I mean, killing him works.
And there's something nice about kind of hoisted by his own petard, melted by his own cheese. There's something very
satisfying.
The imagery, divine.
I guess the last thing was I asked you to read out the 3 cheesy quotes, which is
that was good fun.
Sort of cheese on cheese.
Those were excellent. Do you want to say hello to the boys, baby?
Hello.
Oh, Haley's come to see us.
I thought Mike with his mouth agape, he'd had a stroke. But no, it's just an adorable child. Hello.
Hello, Haley.
An extra cute poppet.
Hello.
Do you want to wear the headphones so you can hear everybody?
Yeah. And we want to get some.
Don't attack Daddy's space bar.
We want to get. She's looking around.
Hello.
Hey, Haley.
Hello, Haley.
Haley. Haley.
hear
Right now that Mike can't hear us, Haley, I have some instructions for you. On your 5th birthday, Haley, you will find.
I'm not a fan.
You will find a knife.
Use it.
You will use it.
Ask for
Haley.
Lego.
Let's say hello.
Lego is the only thing that it's worth more than gold right now. You should always ask for Lego. It's a good investment.
Ask for Lego.
Stay away from
Ask for
Bitcoin.
Lego.
Don't get a Cybertruck. They're not good.
Crypto's a scam.
Oh.
Oh. Well,
Hey, comrade. Hello.
Hmm?
Can you-
Hey. Hello, Haley. Am I fun? She looks so derisive. So,
There's a keyboard just there. I just want to press the keyboard.
Yeah. Why are you parading me around here? Just want to smash things.
Also, she does look like Mike if he were a cherub.
Oh, no.
Speaking of oh no, shall we go to Mike?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my room. Okay, so
Give us an overview.
Overview. Essentially, you were hiding from the Latin professor, the Latinmaster, Professor Brutus, who has little Latin quips while he goes along in his gladius gun. What an exciting character. And a voice that kind of migrates. His
We'll
character
get to some Peter later, my full migration.
We'll get to some Peter later. And you end up in the prefect's room where it turns out that one of the prefects has been doing his Latin homework. And, you kind of go around the room and there's little Latin and English scraps in there. And as John correctly surmised, you put them together and actually you're able to solve the Latin kind of stuff. That gets you into the brandy cabinet, which gives you the code, which gives you the perfect legal argument with which to thwart Professor Brutus. Simple pimples, no fuss, no bother, in and out, job done.
And Mike thought that's too simple.
Mike thought, wouldn't it be interesting to overcomplicate things slightly by using the word smelt in 2 different contexts so as to throw my attackers off of the scent? But then, having done so, put the wrong fucking one in. So the one they're supposed to be using. So I was like, they'll get smelt, as in to sniff and to smelt a metal or ore. They'll get both. But actually, the word will just be the one, because all I was doing the whole way through, I was completely ignoring Latin grammar. It was a
Word
simple
for word.
one-for-one word substitution.
Otherwise,
I was like, we're playing word substitution, and word substitution is probably not going to be one-to-one anyway, because so much of it is kind of contextual and kind of tied in with the grammar of Latin anyway. But I was like, because we're just using the words that I'm providing, A one-to-one, it doesn't even need to be Latin, really. A one-to-one word substitution is all they get. They get these 2 bits, they solve the thing, they say fuck the poor. Did you work out what your phrases were?
No.
Not all
one
of them.
One of them was fuck the poor. One of them was
I think we probably got
father is.
1 and 3,
Yeah.
and then or 1 and 4, and then I think the other ones we got enough.
Because there was a certain point where I twigged that it's whoever smelt it dealt it.
So exactly. And there were 2 ways of approaching this. One was to basically just solve the words you need to solve, because you've got all the tools and you can just kind of go, okay, this word is this word, this word. And the other one is just to go, okay, let's wholesale translate the sentences and then we can use that.
Neither of those would have worked.
Neither of them would have worked. I think, to be honest, you probably still would have figured it out just based on the context of the rest. But yes, I had fucked up. But it's all right, because my pal St. Peter had me. By the way, have you noticed how I've changed our titles in Riverside?
Oh,
I
right.
appreciate the owning of that.
Ben, unscripted and uncut. Wow. That's
bragging, I see.
yeah.
I
thought I told you that in confidence.
Yeah, look at that.
Mike, you have actually slightly
What, can I give you your 5
Oh,
phrases?
yeah.
Oh yeah, give us our 5 phrases and then I'll come back to this.
Okay. So your 5 phrases would have been Ille clar non skit quis meus pater est. He clearly doesn't know who my father is. So this was like common Latin phrases that a posh person might know. Funde me meum aurum statim, smoke me my gold immediately. Ego habeam travisi cum inquisione, I have dealt with the inquiry. Contemptuos pauperos, fuck the poor. And id est solum tributum si HMRC, potest in verde ib, it's only taxable if HMRC can find it.
Nice, very good.
Now, you have skipped over one crucial, very important, and uncuttable step here, and that's that at a certain point earlier in this puzzle, you realized something was wrong, stopped us, and then for a couple of minutes went to check the rest of your puzzle, and then declared, and I quote, "Oh no, it's all fine."
Yeah, I had a moment,
Michael.
Yeah, I had a moment where I thought,
better check it.
Checked it. It was all fine. Check the right bit.
Because that made it all the sweeter for me.
I was paying a lot of attention to the dog doing a wee on the doormat, whereas what I should have been doing is paying attention to the cat playing with the gas man.
Right. Yes.
That's fair.
What an image.
The 1-for-1 word substitution is something I see a lot in play-at-home escape rooms. And the challenge you get, and I got to go with this, is that because of the context of what you're in, you pick up on what the phrase is before you finish translating the phrase. So we got he who, and because you've mentioned before about the flatulence, he who smelt it dealt it. And it's a struggle to, do we carry on? But we know it from context. And it's something that I get, with the play-at-home stuff. You're like, well, I know what this says. And it feels a bit more like sort of task-driven then to just finish it to make sure that you've done it perfect.
It's the downside of the code will be a word thing, because the code will be a word answer just because it's made up of letters always means that halfway through someone can twig it and go, oh, it's this word. And then half of the solve is left undone.
I think that does kind of set you up for that nice fall when it isn't correct, though.
This is true. If they've guessed it wrong, then
or if you don't understand the cultural context of that, that phrase, for example, if you didn't know that phrase, you'd have to still do it.
Had it functioned correctly, I think that would have made us stumble, because he smelled it, dealt it. Well, there's a bit about smelling things there, and but that doesn't work, and that would lead to the correct level of like you couldn't. I mean, you could after that word. Fine, but before that point, you couldn't guess it forward because your assumption would be wrong if that component had been functioning correctly.
Yeah, but also, to be fair, you would have gotten to it much quicker if you'd already translated the phrase. It could have just been he who spelt it, but you hadn't. But also, like John, for example, you picked up that the intentional spelling mistake of dealt rather than deal in the letter, and you were like, oh, of course, that's unintentional.
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah.
That was an intentional spelling mistake. But also, Ben, in your final... Yeah, in your final phrase that destroyed the Latin teacher, you actually made a small mistake, but I let it go past because the two words were adjacent, and I was like, I think this is...
I don't have a leg to stand on anymore.
You substituted cum for trasivit. So delt was translated, and you put in cum instead. But because you picked that from the letter, and they basically, so I'm like, I'm not so terrifically anal. Like, actually, Ben. I was like, no, you've correctly got the method. You're one word off because it's a text.
It's a GM triggered solve. Like it's when the GM decides, okay, you're there really.
One thing that I hadn't noticed was that it was a one-to-one translation all the time. So I was looking at things and forever going, yes, but I don't know how Latin works, and it might be a bit backwards here and there. So I was getting the meanings and not always the one-to-one translations.
My exact phrasing around the clue for the lock probably could have been a little bit more exact, because you went down a rabbit hole through one of the holes that takes you all the way through. Like the channel.
I did really enjoy the double meaning of smelt, though, especially because there was a fireplace there, and I think because we just come from the chem lab with the crucible, that plus fire plus smelting, I thought, maybe we have to.
I talked about smelting something early doors. I was like, maybe we have to smelt something.
Yeah, the trophy or something.
Yeah,
I called out
and the gold. Yeah,
and then I completely forgot about it,
which is probably for the best because that word is wrong.
I did, and this was not planned. We didn't talk particularly about. I don't know about Mike and Jay. As a group, we didn't talk about the puzzles.
No,
kind of going into it, the contents or whatever. Because of course, the other people are also solvers. I did quite like that. Very, very different, but both Jamie and Mike's puzzles was cross-referencing meanings. One was pictorial, and one was literal, like language translation.
Very true, yeah.
And how we all used combination locks that had letters and not numbers. And then again, Mike, as you sort of called out, that you could basically have done a very quick set change, and furniture-wise, yours and
mahogany desk, yeah. Brandy for brandy. We've got very fixed views, don't we, about what happens in boarding schools.
Well, I think you all. So I wasn't creating this time, but you all embraced the theme quite sort of in this quite straightforward way. You imagined what in our sort of dark, twisted reality these masters of their subjects would have in their rooms. So yeah, you came up with similar stuff. Weirdly, considering that the genesis of the three rooms is completely isolated, I thought they hung together really well. Possibly better than if we tried to make them hang together.
Yeah,
somehow, and I can't really explain that.
Yeah, I'm pleased with the run. I think it was a good. I definitely felt like I had the weakest room of the three. I thought Jamie's and Ben's rooms were very strong. I mean, definitely in terms of quality and quality control.
But you would say that.
I made one mistake with Latin, which I feel like is.
I think the kind of puzzle that you did, though, that's difficult to get it so that it solves in the way that you want, because the only two options that you have are to. It's similar with the combination lock, where you have to find the numbers around the room, and once you've found 3 numbers in a 4-digit lock, you say "fuck it" and you just spin the fourth tumbler. What's the point? It's a similar thing. The alternative is with a word lock, you use a gibberish phrase, which I hate. Is when the 5-letter word lock it's not a word.
Isn't a word. Yeah.
See, I've done that,
or isn't a word.
It's difficult to get right.
See, I've put that in a room. Like the second room that we did at the counting house had a cryptex with 5 letters. And the letters were being generated by numbers in the room, which was alphabetizing numbers. But in doing so, it made a gibberish word. And the amount of teams that were crossed that it wasn't a word really, really astonished me.
Legit.
That doesn't bother me at all.
I think there's a certain level of it's confirmation of the right answer, that if it's a legitimate English word that you go, that must be right, because I couldn't have if it was 1 letter off, that doesn't seem right. If it's gibberish, you'll never know if it's wrong.
Perhaps maybe if you've encountered all the words, maybe you would just about allow like the first letter of a sentence. You know, each of the words.
I would
as in
argue,
FTP,
though,
for instance.
I would argue that confirmation of the right answer is the lock unlocking.
I think it's more that you understand how you've come to it, because if you have a 5-letter word lock, you've got 4 letters right, and the 5th letter you've worked it out, but it's like a Z at the end. You're like, that's not right. Oh, wait. the first 4 letters spell this. The 5th letter could be.
Yeah, it's sonar. It's not going to be sonar.
Yeah,
It's going to be
so
sonar.
you've done most of the work.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm fine with that if that's required. So if actually you only get for sonar, if you only get like the first 3 letters to work out, and then there's a sonar panel in the room labeled sonar, and you have to make a leap after that to get the last 2 from what's in the room. Sure, then I'm with you. But like it being a word, having to be a word just because that's how these kinds of puzzles work, I have an objection to that.
I think the problem is that if you're not using it to create a word or linking to something very clear, like I said, maybe the first word, the first letter of each word in a sentence, all you're really doing by using a letter combination lock is saying I want to be in base 26 as opposed to base 10. I don't want to go from 0 to 9. I want to be able to go from 0 to 26. It's kind of or 0 to 25. That's kind of it's getting you more combinations, and so it kind of makes it a bit harder. That's if you're not going to put a word in there, that's sort of the only reason I can see that you'd want that.
Yeah.
It adds a bit of complexity and time, so you can't quite so easily just roll that last barrel around.
Plus, I think from a solving perspective, you've worked out the method. You know how this puzzle is supposed to be cracked. If it's a gibberish answer and you get 1 letter wrong, as far as you're concerned, the entire thing is wrong, and you have to go back through and do it all again. It becomes a task-driven.
I see.
Whereas if it's 1 letter off and you've got most of a word, you go, okay, the method is right. I just fucked up on that last little bit. And you still get the aha moment of popping the lock. Otherwise, you're there for maybe 10, 15 minutes doing the same thing over again, going, oh, that's not right. I got it wrong. And you were so close.
Also, double affirmation. You get the double satisfaction of sonar, aha, followed by click. Oh, yeah, baby. As opposed to quizigulum. No, it wasn't that. Oh, quizique.
Yeah, but it's a fine line to walk between if you're in a submarine theme escape room and you get SON from a piecing together and you go, oh, it's fucking sonar. You've bypassed 20% of the puzzle. You've got to get that right.
Yeah.
So that's our puzzles. Sorry, Ben, I almost slipped into hosting mode there.
Oh no, please carry on.
No, fuck. Are you sure? Okay, so that's been our puzzles, but this is usually the portion on Pubisode where we kick back, take our shoes off, loosen the tops of our belts, maybe just unbutton things a little bit, let things breathe.
Where are you going with this?
Talk about other stuff. I mean, what we normally do is like just talk about,
But instead, today's episode in memoriam.
Yeah, today's episode is in memoriam. This is basically a wake for Ben.
Yes.
Ben, do you want to tell everybody why this is a wake for you?
Ben Lavery Griffiths, 2019.
Assuming they are indeed still awake.
2024.
So, after what I make out to be 138 recordings.
Wow.
And,
oh my God, you count?
Around about 74 edits done by me. I have decided to wander away from the Infinite Escape Room. As many of you remember, I took a hiatus when my son was born at the beginning of 2023. And it took me longer than I thought to come back. And when I came back, the podcast was in a very different place than I left it. In a
you
much
can
better
say
place.
we ruined it. It's fine.
No, in a much better place. It was honestly slightly daunting coming back, given the quality that it sort of progressed to. I've solved a little bit with you guys over the past few months. I think I came back maybe April, May-ish this year, maybe early in March. I could find out, but it takes some time. And solving was very, very fun. And then we kind of came back and said, let's shake things up a bit. Let's create the new format. And it's great. I think it's going to be a great format. But I realised coming back into it that it doesn't have the same sort of spark that it once had for me. There's a lot of work that goes into the Infinite Escape Room, and I don't have the time and headspace for it. It's still something that's very dear to my heart, but not something that I can sort of commit to right now. So, with that in mind, I chatted to the guys at the weekend and said that I would be stepping away from my production chair and letting them have free reign.
Just pour one out for Ben.
Wait, what, in front of you all?
And I've queued up the clip show of great Ben moments over the last 6 years to the tune of Candle in the Wind. It seems to me that it did a puzzle like a candle in the wind.
Just be a series of ums.
And lint, ums, puns, and lint.
Yeah.
Ums, puns, and lint. Oh my god,
That's the episode title.
That is my memoir.
yeah. Oh, that's good. I mean, so Ben, as co-founder, you're gonna miss you
Co-chief.
so much. Please come back to Solve in the future because we love you and miss you, and you're just you're like part of the genetics of the show. You're like sort of fundamental part of it. And I'm gonna miss it because we fit a good rhythm, but at the same time, totally get you because anybody who we just make this look easy. We just. Oh, no, or do we make it?
It depends if you're watching the live
either
stream
way.
or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Patrons, please log in and tell us.
How haggard do we look right now?
If only you could see. If only you could see, like, just how difficult it is for boneheaded goons like us to put anything together. But John's just broken his microphone.
Oh, no.
This is a wonderful case in point. John managed to break his microphone.
The rubber band was over the mute.
Oh, fuck's sake.
The rubber band was over the mute button and pressed the mute button.
This is the kind of high quality professionalism you're used to, ladies and gents.
It's fixed now.
I mean, and maintaining
this in itself is an arc that goes over the other arcs.
Technical problem.
So this episode is basically our Avengers Endgame, and now once Ben steps back, it's going to be all the shit that happens post Endgame. Nobody wants to see that.
Oh no! Oh, wow. The multiverse.
Oh god, Jamie, that is the saddest way anyone's put this.
Why don't we throw out our favourite of Ben's puzzles so far?
Ooh.
One of my favourite Ben puzzles was one where I was the only solver. For various reasons, I was the only one who was able to make it to the recording, so I got a personal audience with Ben, where we faced against the apocalypse with freaking eider ducks. And the only thing that I really remember, there was a sort of a shift substitution cipher involved, and Ben had done he'd actually burnt a piece of paper for the handout. It was a physical handout that had been photographed. It was amazing.
Oh yeah.
What was burned into my memory is just the sound of the eider duck, the sort of sound that kept going on. I'm like, it can't be a real fucking sound, can it? And it was. That was a great puzzle, and it worked really well, despite the fact that I was the only brain on the podcast and therefore liability. It was such a fun episode, so thank you.
That was good. I think I might have said in the puzzle, but eider ducks is the eider from an eider down. The feathers from eider ducks are placed into sort of quilts, and that's how you get the word eider down.
Are you kidding me?
No.
And the sound they make sounds like when you talk to Mark Drayford, former First Minister of Wales, about cheese. That's the same sound. Ooh.
Yeah.
Or 20 mile an hour speed.
Oh, there it is.
Fucking hell.
Very good.
I've got one. Do you remember, Ben, you did one, this was a beautiful little one shot. It was like Radio Moon.
Yes,
you
I
set
remember
up a radio
Radio
station
Moon.
on the moon. And it was so lovely because you'd made these wonderful assets, these like cassette recording
They were
assets.
backwards.
And you put so much work in. Yeah, and backwards, but like the audio quality and just like the set, like the scene building of it was really good. You got the whole sense of this kind of like little isolated spot in a silent thing on the moon in the white, in the dust. And it was one of the first like queued up audio asset puzzles we had on the show, and it worked beautifully. And you'd done like a bazillion variations where we fast forwarded it and everything. It was divine. I really, really, really enjoyed that one. And I remember you came out of it fucking exhausted.
Yeah, I do remember it. That was a very good one. And yes, there was a lot to. After giving you, I think, relatively few things to meddle with, it resulted in like a lot of assets to create. Just yeah.
Well, that's the lesson, isn't it? Once you start making stuff, there's you suddenly realize how much there has to be.
And then you see, sorry, very quickly, John. And then you see all the stuff that you don't use, right? Because you only press 3 buttons and then you get it, and you're like, I've created 50 things.
Yeah, you gave us to them afterwards because you were so but what if you'd played it on fast forward backwards? Oh no, that was like the solution, wasn't it? But it was all the other ones because we were just like, oh, what if we do this? And we were like, fuck.
That's the answer. Oh God. Ben, so you did a room in which we were in a cupboard and we were miniaturized people, and Action Man was buried under a helicopter. Do you remember this? And we had to jump.
No, you weren't
through the thing.
miniaturized. It was in a giant's cupboard.
That was it. Yes, sorry.
So you just climbed up the beanstalk, if I remember right.
Giants. Yes, we had. We'd gone up the beanstalk and ended up in the giant's cupboard, and this was Lintgate for me because there was, you very quickly. I'm pretty sure you said that there was like huge amount of lint on the bottom level of this thing. And I was scratching my head for the whole show. Like, what is this for? He's given us all this stuff really specifically. What is that about? It doesn't seem to, do we burn it? Is it a crash mat? What do we do with it? Turn up completely irrelevant. Ben just likes putting pocket in it.
Absolutely, but last recording that I was on with you, John, you told me that lint wouldn't burn, and then you've just told me now that you thought all the way back then that maybe
the reason. No. The reason, actually, to be fair, I have retconned that, and the reason I've retconned it, and you'll love this reason, Ben. You will love this reason. Is because my daughter this weekend has been at Beaver Camp.
Very nice,
and she's been lighting campfires. And also shooting air rifles and axe throwing.
Absolutely.
Beavers has changed since I was a boy. Gotten way better. But anyway, they were lighting campfires, and what they used for kindling was cotton wool, balls of cotton wool. Mm-hmm. And I watched them do this, and I thought of you, and I thought of Lint.
Is that a good thought to end on?
I think that is a good thought to end on.
I think the common theme is, though, a lot of these is the commitment to like really high quality assets and like the audio that you've done in the FM one, and the actually physically doing stuff and photographing it for assets like that's going to be missing because we sure as shit ain't going to be doing anything of that that quality.
Well, you say that, Jamie, but your assets are fantastic always.
You too, kind.
What about my assets?
Your stock portfolio is doing quite well.
Let's not talk about mine or like the stick drawings I come up with each time. It's like this. North is that way. But Ben, you have showed a remarkable commitment to not change your voice at all, but deploy the most exotic voice changing software you can find to turn it into other things.
It's the problem is that you can't describe that so well in the scripting, and as you saw tonight, I can't read it if it's not scripted.
I will miss you trying to go something about it. It's like watching a dog try to drive.
I am very
so happy to be there, but at the same time,
I am very glad that I got you to read out a sexy letter one last time, because that just it sparks so much joy in my heart to see you read erotica. Keep an eye out for Ben's OnlyFans coming soon.
There was an element of the village vicar finding your porn stash.
It's maybe Uhms, puns, and lints will be something else.
Ums, pums, lints, and bums. Guys, we have. I'm just looking at our iTunes listing. We have years active 2018 to 2024. Rating explicit. Oh yeah. Episodes 324.
So we
have
only cut 50.
Enough now to take somebody. We have somebody could listen to an episode a day for a year.
That's impressive.
They would go insane by the end.
Have we broken the world record for the most number of escape rooms designed by a single entity?
Ooh, I think it's got to be up there.
I think we have more than Escape This Podcast, because they're really
whereas we're a weekly podcast, and by fuck we stand by it.
Oh boy, you're gonna know.
So that's something for the LinkedIn profile. Most.
Oh, okay. Escape This Podcast have 330.
Every other one is a discussion episode, though.
Yeah.
So we might be in luck.
Shit, we might actually have it. We need to go to Eric and be like, hey, Eric Conference, do you want the most prolific?
Yeah, stick with that term, nothing else. Just prolific.
The Boris
How's about
Johnson
second?
of escape room creators.
So, Ben, what are you going to do now that you've shacked us off?
Well, so I have recently joined the local scout group as a scout leader. So I'm off. Doing
What's your scout
scouting
leader
things.
name?
Ben.
Oh, don't they do animal names?
No,
Or
that's
does
in
that
Cubs.
stop at
That's
that?
in Cubs.
Oh, right. I see.
So in Scouts, you tend to just have your name. So I'm doing that. That's a lot of fun. A bit more sort of outside of the house than the podcast is. And seeing as I work from home, I desperately need that.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
We are approaching the 4-hour mark.
Understandable.
Yeah.
That's
We
true,
go
yeah.
over the 4
We
hours.
are.
Oh my God.
And it is numb.
So what you're saying is that we should keep an eye out for Ben's upcoming podcast, the Finite Leaving Space, legally distinct escape room, where he will just take all the things that are good and make them better, and be our rival.
Also, I hereby move that the thumbnail image for this episode is a picture of Ben's portrait with 2018 to 2024 on it, just so we can see how many people think he died.
We'll just say at the start. We'll just say
And
at
some
the start,
lilies.
He's not dead. He's not. We'll get letters.
I mean, yeah. Ben's contribution to this episode was conducted via a seance. So, guys, shall we close out our Pubisode with our usual? What's your recommendation for the
Smashing.
month?
I've recently started watching a Netflix series called Murder in Successville. It's a British series that's been adapted in America as well. But the premise...
So they ruined it then?
It's not too bad. I've watched one American version. It's not too bad. It's different, but it's not better or worse. But I do prefer the British one. So basic premise is it's a murder mystery that's filmed over 24 hours. There's a celebrity guest who comes on to help solve the murder. The celebrity guest doesn't know what's going on. Everybody else has a script, and the guest doesn't. And it's utterly ridiculous. I watched one recently with Richard Osman, and it's brilliant. And because they're trying to solve the murder, and they're improvising quite a lot as well. He's trying to keep up and solve the murder, but also like be pithy and funny. They break character quite a lot, and it's really funny. And there's an actual like sort of puzzly murder mystery element to it as well. It's really fun. Murder in Successful.
Nice. I've always wanted like a good, but not too good, like a good sort of but fun escape room team solving things would make good TV.
I still maintain there should be a version of Gogglebox that's escape room GMs watching teams on CCTV. And they're interspersed with clips of them fucking up and just ripping into
and you'd
them.
have some like "Come Dine With Me" style host saying, one of the team members has picked up the crucial prop and put it in his pocket. It bulges out of there visibly, but he's going to fail to notice it for the entire rest of the game and then lose it. Let's watch his teammates lose it with him.
I paid to see that. That's good TV.
Yeah.
And that's me.
John, Ben.
I don't have one. I came fully unprepared and cannot think of anything witty, I'm afraid.
Doesn't have to be witty.
It could just be something. It could be.
Don't forget, Ben, that on one of my episodes, you recommended stainless steel as a thing. So
I still do.
And then Dom proceeded to make it worse by following up with recommending swimming. So you carry on.
That's excellent.
Is it too late? Is Ben transferring to escape this podcast? Is that like
I genuinely don't have anything. I can't think of anything. Not that it needs to be witty, but I can't think of anything at all that.
Oh, what would I recommend? I would recommend, and I think I might have plugged series 1 of the show. We've just started watching series 2, and it's even better. It's just glorious. I would recommend Colin from Accounts, which is an Australian ABC show, and it's a comedy about 2 people who are brought together by an accident involving a small dog. One of the characters flashes her breasts at the other, and he then crashes his car into the dog, and they both become jointly responsible for the dog, and they name the dog Colin from Accounts. It's very funny. And I mean, how do you sell a comedy apart from it's very funny? Like it's so beautifully sort of tightly written. Everyone's so weird, but also so somehow grounded that every sort of terrible, irritating character that comes into it, even though they're Australian tropes, you feel like you know someone like that. They're awful, but also beautifully done. So yeah, Colin from Accounts Series 2 is my recommendation.
Nice.
Oh, I need to give that another go. I think I bounced off the first episode. I need to give it another.
Give it a little bit more time.
My recommendations are recommendations because I have two because I'm
Of course you do.
that guy. Because the first one's really quick because it's almost a re-recommendation, which is Adrian Tchaikovsky's Children
nice.
of Time.
Ooh.
Reread it again last week, and again it just drew me through. I was up reading it at all hours because it was so good. It's some optimistic sci-fi, and it takes Adrian Tchaikovsky's unique kind of zoological lens and way of getting into the heads of things which we've never been in before because they're different heads. And seeing how that would pan out. It's the ultimate what if. I'd massively recommend it to anybody who loves sci-fi. And I would also cautiously recommend it to anybody who doesn't like sci-fi because it's just massively interesting. My second recommendation is Tactical Breach Wizards, which is my indie darling game of the month. It's wonderful. It's very funny. It's beautifully written. And it's, as a game, very, very tight. It's a kind of a tactics game, which is almost a puzzle game because there's no RNG or anything. It's just sort of do this, then this. But the art direction is very simple but very fun. And the writing in it is some of the funniest writing I've seen in a game in years. It makes me genuinely giggle. The whole tone is delicious. 11 out of 10 recommendation. And it's cheap, so you can't go far.
What was it again? Because I'm not going to listen back to this.
Great endorsement there, Jamie, for the podcast. This is like the time that I said to John, hey, do you remember this thing? And John said, I don't listen to the podcast.
It's not true, I do. But
Tactical
Excellent.
Breach Wizards.
I'm sorry,
It's a
that
tactics game.
sounds like a euphemism for your gentleman.
Oh, my Tactical Breach Wizard. It's basically like, hey, imagine a tactics game and like Breach and like, Spec Ops.
I like it.
But they're wizards. It's so funny. Like, one of the characters, he's got like his staff, but it's got like all like assault rifle clip-on bits. So it's just like bits of an assault rifle clipped around a staff. So he's like, yeah. And everybody's really shit as well. So like the seer is a seer who can see the future, but you don't really see like a second in the future.
I'm
Like,
about to
one
die.
of the enemies who can
I die.
One of the enemies is the traffic warlock, who can summon ghostly traffic, and the slightly less lethal pyromancer, who can do uncomfortably warm flames.
This is like if Terry Pratchett did XCOM.
It is exactly like if Terry Pratchett does XCOM. You should put it on the back of the box that they don't have because
Fun
it's
little fact about Pratchett. He created some mods for the game Oblivion. Yeah, he was such a massive gaming fan and Elder Scrolls fan. He created mods for Oblivion.
Wow.
I need to run away now, I'm afraid.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
no worries.
do.
Well, should we take off the episode?
Yeah.
This seems like the perfect time. Ben, would you like to
No,
take
because
us
I have
out?
just closed my script.
Fuck you!
So, folks, so as Ben dashes into the night, not paying his tab, and the barman looks at us angrily,
Speaks Latin. badly.
and Spain's over and goes, "Hey, fungus, bingus, blondus, este." We must ourselves chase after Ben into the night because we neither bought our bank cards or any solid currency. So we dash into the night.
Didn't we just get paid £16.61? Oh, that won't buy a drink these
No.
days. Who am I kidding?
It's a check. Who's going to cash a check? You can't give a check to a barman.
Please.
Let's go to one of those dodgy money exchange places. We're like, oh, you want drugs for this?
They're not open this time of night.
We'd like money. Yeah. Our customers are very daytime focused. We go into the night. And with that, we will see you next time on the Infinite Escape Room, where we will escaping from God knows where. Our patrons will find out because we'll be talking about it in a production meeting that's coming up soon, except without Ben, because, of course, this is him actually leaving the podcast this minute. And we'll love you lots. And we'll see you next time on the
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.